Good morning. I'm Chris Pellerito with Mid-Michigan College, and welcome. We're happy to have you here. Just so you know, this is not an infomercial for Mid, but we're proud to be the hosts of this, our roundtable series. I want you to know that we're glad you are part of it, and I'm especially pleased with today's conversation. We're particularly going to be talking about the fields of art and design and what it means to be a creative professional and potential career paths. I'm especially excited by the folks at the table with me today. Just so you're clear, when people ask me, well, where's Mid-Michigan College? We're one of 28 community colleges. I'm often tempted to tell people, well, it's in Mid-Michigan, of course, you knucklehead, but I don't. We have a campus here in Mount Pleasant. We've grown quite a bit, about 5 miles from our friends over at CMU. And half an hour north of us, we have a lovely campus, quaint rustic charm in Harrison, or outside the town of Harrison. Just so you're clear, too, we're sponsored today by Mid's Pizza Sauce, and it's a Sicilian recipe gotten from my grandmother. Can I use the word gotten? No, I made all that up. We're not sponsored by any pizza sauce, but I do believe chefs in their own way are creative folks as well. They're designers, right?
100%.
100%. Good deal. Okay, I'm going to the fork, and here's why. This one's real. My grandmother came over from Sicily, used to talk often at big meals, hey, hang on to your fork, the good stuff's coming. We get to have dessert first today, and that's largely because of the folks that are joining us, notice I said us, at the table. I'm going to ask them to briefly introduce themselves. Pay attention, because what they're bringing is really kind of cool. What they're bringing to the table and what they're bringing for you is really very cool. Taylor, if you don't mind, I'm going to start with you on the far end.
Yeah, so my name is Taylor Kite. I work for a company called AimLab, and I'm a producer, so I work a lot in the video creative space. I work with, to keep it brief, I work with script writers, editors, and all kind of creative folks to come up with outlines for different media pieces, and I'm sure we'll get more into it, so I'll keep it brief there.
I am Megan Bear, and I own and run an art co-op and creative space in downtown.
My name is Danny McQuarters, and I'm the education coordinator for ArtReach, a nonprofit arts organization.
Outstanding. These are modest folks. I expected they had a lot more to share, and they do, because I've had the pleasure of chatting with them leading up to this. So you'll hear more from each of them and their roles. Megan, I can't go any further without referencing the fact that, is it okay if, for the duration of this conversation, we call you Mama Bear?
I love that.
Okay. All right. It's some inside creative artists kind of thing. Okay. I'm wondering if, and we're going to go right to the comic book history that I have, and I joked with my wife recently, I could end up with a PhD and I would still enjoy reading Calvin and Hobbes. But I want to go to origin story for a minute, and I'm wondering, in any particular order, tell us a little bit about where you came from and how you landed to where you are right now. Not the 40-minute version, but some, whatever, brief comic book version. Anybody care to go first?
I'll share.
Cool.
In short and sweet, I opened a restaurant in 2016 with no budget for art on the walls. So I slowly built an art community in our area, encouraging artists to share and sell their artwork on the walls at the restaurant.
Wow.
And during the pandemic, we closed. So I moved all of those artists to a new space in downtown. And it quickly grew, almost 2 years later, into a space where people can come and create in our makerspace. Artists can sell their artwork. We have a rage room and a splatter paint room. During all of that, I was also teaching paint classes, and 6 years later, I have found my true passion of large artwork and have been working on some bigger murals in the area too. So,
at any point during all of that, did you? And we're honest with each other, of course. At any point during all of that, did you doubt your own abilities?
100%.
Painfully honest.
100%. Mama Bear Art started with my baby, as Mama Bear, strapped to my front teaching classes. And
Wow.
some classes there was 2 people, and some classes were 27 people. And there was always the moment of doubt whether it was my baby crying and I'm like, can I do both? Or it was like nobody was showing up. Should I continue? Would it be worth it? So everyday challenge.
Was there ever a doubt about your own artistic capabilities?
I feel like I was able to kind of accommodate and learn what people were looking for. So sometimes as an artist, you have to create what they want and then fill in the gaps with what you want. So
Sure.
yeah, a little bit of both.
Cool. Taylor, Kenny?
Yeah, I'll hop in. So my origin story, to be honest, was I was like a lost kid in college. That was my initial story. I think everyone has at least a moment, whether you're in college, high school,
Certainly.
you're working a job somewhere. When you're 18, I feel like everyone just feels lost. It's something I was always interested in, and I knew I wanted to have like some sort of involvement with was gaming in any way, any sort of fashion. And I've always been kind of a creative type. Like, for example, I had my own YouTube channel when I was 15 years old. I used to make embarrassingly horrible Minecraft videos where I would like be in this server and I would just be playing the game and I would just be talking about what I did at school that day or random stuff. And I actually was decently successful for a 15-year-old.
That's cool.
That's really cool.
Tens and tens of views?
No, actually thousands, believe it or not.
That's awesome.
Thousands. Yeah, it wasn't bad. I
How
was
dare I
15.
doubt you?
There you go. Well, it's funny because like that story, I'm skipping ahead in my origin story, if you will, but that experience ended up, I ran a YouTube channel for my company, and I was actually like the talent for it.
Yes.
So there's some videos, if anyone's curious to look it up, it's called Pro Guides Apex Legends. You can hear my
Say it again, slower.
Pro Guides Apex Legends.
Cool.
I was actually the talent for that channel a long while ago. I've now moved past that. But anyway, going back to my origin story. So I was in college, didn't really know what I wanted to do, and I was playing a ton of video games, right? And
Many do.
I was doing well in college enough to get an internship opportunity with a company called Pro Guides. They're in the gaming space. We do stuff with like helping gamers improve. So we'll make like content about like how to get better at the games you love. And initially my role there was like super minimum. It was the community manager, which is just doing like Discord stuff. The pay was not crazy. So I really did take a leap of faith, probably less financially straining than Megan's might have been.
Sure.
But I did have to like take a big leap in that. Like I went and lived with my parents for a year. I was like, Mom, let me see if this works for a year. I skipped ahead, sorry. After the internship, they offered me a job. So I quit college to go try this and do it. And luckily it worked out for me.
Brave leap of faith.
Yeah. And I really, it was because I was passionate, and that's what I was. But I don't want to keep going too much.
Did you, very quickly, did you ever doubt your abilities?
Oh, 100%. I mean,
Yeah.
there was a lot
Even
of,
when you're making that leap of faith that you just described.
yeah. I mean, there's nothing easy about making a big leap in life. Like like
Sure.
I stopped going to college. Not that I couldn't go back, right? That's not like something I couldn't
Yep.
do. I was still academically in college, and I was still able to go back if I wanted to. But I was taking, like, if you will, a step backwards if that didn't work out.
Sure.
So there was a lot of like risk in that. I went and lived with my parents and stuff, which is not a leap forward in any means. Like, it's not an admirable thing, but it really worked out for me. And
But it's okay because
yeah,
it leads to a happy
yeah.
ending.
Well, I think the most important thing with like the leap of faith is really that it's like you just have to be confident in yourself as a person. Like I knew I had a skill set that could be exploited, but not exploited. It's a bad word, but I'll just say it because it works, right? A skill set that could be valuable to this company. Like I knew I had that because I had a lot of knowledge in gaming, and I've
Yeah.
always had a creative mind to
Yeah.
do stuff in like the video space. So I always had faith in myself, at
Cool.
least.
Danny, origin story?
Okay. So I'm originally from Kansas City, Missouri. Go Chiefs! We made the Super Bowl.
Yes,
this year.
indeed.
And back home, and this is kind of random, but it all kind of relates. When I was a teenager in high school, I kind of got my start in nonprofit in the alcohol and drug prevention arena, and a little bit of violence intervention, and just a lot of like community organizing. I then started to play the cello my senior year because I used to skip gym and go to orchestra, and my friend just gave me a cello, and the orchestra teacher didn't notice for a while. And
Get out of here.
yeah, seriously, literally,
Just
that's what
kind of
happened.
like ambled
Yeah.
on in
Yeah,
amongst
and then
the-
I taught myself, and then like it was like a month later, and I didn't go to the best high school, but you know, like he ended up vouching for me and switching the classes over, and then that's how I got my start in the artistic world. I consider myself more of a musical artist, and then I went off to college in Oklahoma, yada yada, moved up to Michigan. in 2016, and then I started to do other community organizing in this area, and then end up getting hired at Artreach, which is a nonprofit. And then so like my role there is mostly art administration, so a lot of the business end of things. I do teach some like art classes, like crafty things, but I wouldn't consider myself like a professional artist by any metrics. But yes, just being at Artreach, I got more involved in the community and more into the world of art. So right now, I run a group called the Arts Collaborative of Mid-Michigan, which just started back up last month. It's February now. And it's basically a group for like professional development for artists. And then we do a lot of things for different people around the area, for low-income individuals, adults with disabilities, things like that, littles, and things like that. So really my origin into art is basically using my experience of community organizing and my sense of wanting to make the world better. And I use art as a medium to do that, if that makes sense. So
Makes perfect sense. Kind of cool. I'm going to stick with the superhero theme just for a minute, and we won't stay on it the entirety of this conversation, but here you go. Many superheroes have a utility belt. You may equip there's 217 and 18-year-olds, 16, 17, 18-year-olds on the other end of the camera. You may equip them with one thing for their utility belt for the future, presuming they take a creative path. And I want to just further challenge you this way. You can, what you choose might be like strong conviction or principles or a credo to live by or creativity, adaptability, problem solving. What would you choose? What would you gift them with for their utility belt for the future, knowing now where you've come from, even sneaking into class that you're not in? There's 200 kids that are going to sneak into another class and say, well, Kenny said it was good. What would you do?
I have to say first, I actually applied for Danny's job, and he got it.
You're not disgruntled, are you? Okay.
So I'm glad for him. But I feel like this plays into your question. Is like you have to have drive to keep going. You're going to get turned down, and the passion for your project will just keep you moving forward. Like I thought I had a pretty bomb diggity interview, and
evidently not
and I didn't get
diggity
it.
enough.
Right. But that's it got me to where I am. So I feel like passion and drive and patience is like huge in this world. You just have to believe in yourself.
Stephen King talks about when he was a young writer, had a nail on the wall of his apartment, and he would stick rejection letters to the nail, and he said it got thicker and thicker and thicker. And this is Stephen King. But what else? What would you add?
I would say you almost have to be, this is like a weird skill to say, so it's not a single word, but I would say like addicted to your craft. I think that's like having that dedication to what you're doing, whatever it is, like any sort of like creative endeavor. You really have to be devoted to being good, because I think that like something that I'll say as a professional is like in this space, one thing that like you either have or you don't is you're just good, whether it's art, whether you're in the media space. Like I hire a bunch of freelance candidates like every single day, and I know within like 10 minutes in an interview if they have it or if they don't, just based on how they talk about themselves, how they talk about their work, how they carry themselves in a conversation. It's pretty easy to just tell. Like, and then also I have their reel, so I can like see the actual work they've done.
You can tell quickly enough looking at the work they've done as well. Like,
100%.
This kid, this young person has a passion. They have a drive.
I'm sure our audience members don't know this very well, but like in the video space, there's a lot of like cheats you can do to like make an edit look decent, and like it's not the hard way to do it. But there's if you're, I don't want to call myself a veteran because I'm 25, but I've been in the industry for 6 years. I've watched a lot of film and a lot of reels from people. You can tell when someone knows what they're doing. They know how to actually like use assets properly. They're not taking shortcuts. They're not watching a YouTube tutorial. They actually like know it. They do it, and it's because they love what they do. Yeah,
even if it's self-taught.
100%, because like a lot of my stuff, I went to school for marketing, so like I wasn't equipped to be. I'm a producer now, so I'm in a whole different industry. I was not equipped from college for this. I have learned almost everything that I do in my job on my own, whether it's from YouTube or from. I've been blessed with having like a lot of like experienced peers around me. Like I've worked with directors from Hollywood out of pure fortune that they got hired to the company I was working at. And they've just had a ton of very useful stuff to share with me. But I think going back to what I was saying, You just have to really be devoted to like improving at what you're doing. Whatever sort of creative media it is, you have to just be good. It's kind of a competitive industry if you're really going for any sort of creative endeavor, because everybody, like, this is like the job that most people like it's sought after. Everyone wants to do this job because it's like fun, if you will, and it is fun. Like I love what I do. I'm sure Megan loves what she does. I'm sure Danny loves what he does.
Yeah,
it's a fun industry to be in.
Yeah,
but
if you can do what you're good at and what you enjoy, you're blessed.
But you have to pull that fun off of it first, and you have to look behind the curtains to be able to be in the fun position.
Yes.
You have to be good at what you're doing.
Yes.
And that comes with a lot of time. Like, it's just like, for me, for example, and I'm sure both of them share the same experience, like I'm kind of addicted to what I do. Like my girlfriend would tell you more times than not, I will work voluntarily until like the 9, 10, 11 p.m. because I just love what I do, and I'm really like hooked on what I do.
Yeah, hooked. You know, it's so interesting, and it's not coincidence you use the word hooked. My oldest son makes a living in the bass fishing industry because he's not merely passionate about bass fishing. He is addicted to it. But he's a photographer, and he does social media marketing and stuff. But addicted is the word, not in a bad sense.
No.
But I totally see that.
Yeah.
It's interesting to hear you say that. And just for the record, you're 25, so for the 17 and 16 and 18-year-olds that are hearing this today, you are a veteran.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, but
geez.
in
It's okay.
in the industry, we're not considered that way. When I'm like
No, I believe that.
going into a meeting or something, no one's like, oh my God, he's like a veteran. It's like, no, you're young. You're a young guy.
I get it. That's okay. Danny.
I would say probably the biggest things is networks and connections. Just to piggyback off of what both of them said, it's been a lot of times, or you will face just, throughout your careers, you have faced times where you were clearly, qualified for something, then not even get like a call back. Like, it's been places around town that I applied to. I'm like, oh, I'll definitely get an interview at least, like I meet, all of them, and just didn't get. But in the world of art especially, it's a lot of, it's not just, making an image and hoping somebody, sees it on Facebook. And you have to be intentional about who you associate with and like how you can use those connections to further your career and help other people around you as well. So like, for example, say if you're an amazing artist, just moved to a new city, you don't know anybody, don't know how to get into exhibits, don't know how to sell your work at stores, things like that, then you wouldn't really get anywhere. And I see a lot of really talented artists who have all the skills, they have the drive, but then it's like the business aspect part of it where that networking comes into play at, if you want to be successful in that industry and do it as, and even if you don't want to be an artist, even like in art administration or business, you still have to make those connections and be out there and everything, and you have to kind of drive, because a lot of people assume that art is, just, oh, we're just gonna have fun. It's no,
just gonna paint today.
It's nothing to do with that. Oh, can you do this for me for free? Oh, I need a mural done. Can I pay you $20? Like stuff like that. So I would just say like make those right connections to get in the right spaces so you can express your skills and talent and everything.
Danny, go ahead.
Sorry, and also learn to value your talent. Like,
yes.
A lot of people, especially in the art world, don't always see the value as they should, or as you hoped they might.
Right.
So it's a huge part of marketing yourself, but knowing where your skill level is at, so that you can value and hope that they do too.
I saw that with my oldest son. I saw that where, as a photographer, we have a wonderful instructor here at MID. The longest tenured faculty member at MID is our photography teacher, Bob Giuliani. Bob, one of the best lessons he taught Kobe was that, hey, you have a talent, you have a skill, you charge accordingly. Because, again, people want you to, can you come shoot my wedding or whatever? Right. Danny, I want all three of you, but I want you to elaborate just a little bit. I wasn't intending to ask this question, but I feel compelled, and here's why. Denzel Washington, super talented. Denzel Washington described in an interview people coming to him saying, I want to be where you're at. I want to do what you do. Megan, I want to do what you do. Or Taylor, I definitely want, that's what I want. Danny, I want to be there. But Denzel Washington's response to them, and he looked right at the camera and said, you want to do what I do? Do what I've done. So what's the single biggest thing that you've done that got you here? And you were just kind of touching on it just now.
Yeah.
And I want you to chime in as well.
I think the biggest thing, honestly, is the networking and connections that you make and the foundation that you build. Really, I like to think long term in terms of goals. Like, all right, what am I doing now? How is it? Is it going to be beneficial in the future for any goals to reach? And then, like, as of getting like where you are now, I honestly feel that a lot of it is work. You have to put in the work for it, but
Yeah.
you also have to be at the right place at the right time and have the right luck. Like, honestly, you do.
Well, wait.
It's-
What does that mean?
Like-
How do I get to the right place at the right time, and how do I get the right look?
Right. So, like,
If
for
I'm 17 years old and I'm doubting myself, and I don't admit it out loud to anybody, but I'm doubting myself, how do I get to the right place at the right time and with the right look?
I really just think it's happenstance. There's really no good answer, but I think like if you put in that work, then you will
Yeah.
start to find the right places. So
Yeah.
start going out and actually
Sure.
acting as if you're going to be a professional in the field and
Yes.
actually putting in the work.
Yep.
And you will find yourself in those different places and everything.
That's good.
And then a lot of times, even when people say luck, it's one of those things like who you know, like somebody heard of a job and thought about you, where you was just right there while they saw like, oh, look at this, apply. Boom, that's a 6-figure job. Where if you was out getting lunch, like it just wouldn't. So that's what I mean by the
Boom,
luck part,
that's a
but-
six-figure
Yeah,
job.
like
I didn't know it was that simple.
but that's what it kind of is. Like that's kind of how I see it. Like
Sure.
at those right place in the right time. Because like I kind of think like if any of us did the exact same thing as Denzel Washington or Jeff Bezos, it's
Sure.
not the guaranteed thing.
Sure.
So like I think you have to do the same thing as far as the work, but you also have to have that community of support
Yeah.
around you as well. So build
Yeah.
that community, build that foundation, and then be in as many places as you can, and hopefully you will land in one of the right places.
As many of the right places.
Yeah, the right
Yeah.
places.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it's a huge part of just putting your stuff out there, participating in what might be beneath you, but just, there's so many different events and activities and craft fairs, and
Yeah.
I went to so many craft fairs and hauled my stuff around everywhere for years and hauled duffel bags of materials to teach paint classes all around the state. I drove to Traverse City to teach a paint class because I didn't want to turn it down.
Yeah.
Because you never know who you're going to meet
Sure.
when you're out there doing those things.
Absolutely.
So sometimes you have to do the not fun stuff to get to the fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
My husband is just starting out as an artist too, and he's super excited, and we kind of motivate each other in that way. But he participated in Art Reach's art battle, and it was huge exposure for him because
Yes.
he doesn't really have that social scene, and he really, really enjoyed it and sold a couple pieces of art after that. And he was just
Did he go into Art Battle thinking, I got this, or I can compete, I'm going to be at the top, or anything like that?
He was confident in his work because he's passionate about it.
Good.
But he had no experience in live art, and he didn't know anybody else out there. And my 5-year-old son painted with him, so it
Oh, wow.
was a true battle. But I mean, it was just meeting the other artists around you and
Yes.
making those contacts was really huge for anybody participating.
Sure.
It was really cool.
Yeah, I think to chime in a little bit, I think Danny said it best. Like, it's a combination of you only end up in the right spot if you have a big enough network, if you're out there
Yes.
enough, like you know enough people.
Yes.
That's how the right place, right time happens, because
Yes.
you can't be in the place if you don't know the people that are taking you to the place, right?
Yes.
And I think that just comes with, again, like whatever endeavor you're doing, it comes down to your avenues, truly. Like, you'll meet one person, right? And you might try to get really close to them and meet the people they know because you value them as a professional or what they do, whatever it is, right? So I think it is very important to have a network. An example, like I said before, I hire freelancers all the time, and my number one source of like getting those people is through their friends, right? Is through like, I know you're very good. Do you have anyone that's really good at what you're doing? And they're like, yeah, I have this person. So like, for example, the friend of the person that I'm asking, right, that's recommending me to a person, right? If that friend didn't know this friend, they wouldn't have an opportunity, right? And that's just a minor example, but like,
Sure.
it's very important to just know people in general. And obviously that might sound vague to a 17-year-old behind the camera, because like, you don't have to think that way yet. But another good example I just want to say this, and this is not an infomercial for college, but I did have a professor in college who ended up being very valuable to me, and I established like a connection that has lasted after college. Like we text. He's a little ancient, but he does text me. And it's very formal. He's like, "Hello, Taylor. How are you doing today?" But anyway,
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, but he's gotten me. This was like a freelance opportunity I took on the side. I'm not going to go into it too much, but he got me an opportunity strictly because in his class I was very attentive. After our class was over, I really loved him as a professor, so I emailed him. I'm like a very admirable person. I was like just admiring him in this email. He's like, let's connect on LinkedIn, and here's my phone number, and like let's stay in touch. And then one day he's like, hey, you took my class, you showed that you were really good at this. Here's an opportunity. That's just another example of like, you don't know who it's going to be. That might give you this opportunity, but the more people you know that are in the right places, the more chances you have to end up in those places. So
Makes,
I think it's important to
makes
say that,
perfect
because
sense.
it's really hard, like Danny said, to like actually personify, like how do you end up in the right spot? And truth be told, like you're never going to know. We probably all miss out on 100 opportunities a day, right? But we've all ended up in a place, at least I think, and I feel this way, that we're happy with because we had an opportunity. And maybe the job I'm working now isn't the job I was destined to do, but I love my job. So I'm glad I was in the place I was when I found the job I have. So.
Sure. Yes. Let's hear it.
We have Latin High School. Amber Bellman, she has 8 students with her. And the question is, please tell us again what colleges you attend or recommend if interested in going into your particular fields.
Okay,
Really
did
good
you hear
question.
that?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I went to CMU, and long story short, had no idea what I wanted to do and had yet to find my passion. So I went from elementary ed, art ed, social work, business, and ended in entrepreneurship. I graduated and started a nursing program here at Mid. So it took me a really long time to find what I really wanted to do, but what was the question besides where we went?
Where would you like recommend?
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a really good question. I feel like where you can get into, but it's more kind of like Danny was saying, is
take
every single opportunity that you can while you're there.
Yeah.
It almost
I
doesn't
had a feeling
matter.
that would be the response. I
Yeah.
have a feeling yours is going to be similar too.
Yeah, I mean, so for what I do, I'm a producer. So to be a producer, you can have many degrees. Anything sort of towards like videography in any way is going to have you a chance to be landed where I am. So unfortunately, to answer the question, for my job, there's not like a specific path I would like recommend, because you could be a cameraman, you could be an editor, you could be a writer, you could be a creative type of any sort of any of those mediums I just mentioned, and you could land up in my job, because I work all those jobs in my job. But whatever you do, like if you want to be a producer and go down like the video path, any sort of degree like that, I think, again, I'm going to relate it back to what we said. I'm going to go back to actually what I said. Whatever you do choose for your path, I think it's important that you're just dedicated to it. Whether you really like cameras, whether you really like pictures, whether you really like writing, whatever it is, you just really have to love what you do and get really good at it, because I think that's very important.
And I'm hearing, just for the record, I'm hearing certainly from the two of you, and I do want to hear from you, but I'm not hearing like you absolutely have to go to college. Okay,
No.
and I'm not afraid to say that here right now. Ironically,
I was afraid to say that.
Ironically, no, I get it. I get it. And frankly, to follow up on your point, many of the students that start here, and I know it's true because I've chatted with my colleagues at universities, many of the students that start here really don't know what next, what they want next.
It's so hard to know at that age.
It's yes, yep.
And I think that's a common thing too at that age, because I kind of went through the same thing, not as many degrees, but I started out political science and then music performance and music education and then PR and marketing, and then ended up a communication studies major. I went to my undergrad in Cameron University down in Oklahoma, and then came up to CMU for my master's degree. And I would just say, like, honestly, yeah, I don't feel like everybody needs to go to college. I think that it's good to at least try it out, take a few classes to see if it's for you, and think about what you want to do. A lot of people still don't, as full adults don't know what they want to be when they grow up. It's okay. Like, I would say that's a perfect reason to explore your skills, your talents, and then like have I would say like try to be like, yeah, take all the opportunities, be broad, and then when you're applying for colleges, don't just think about one single college. Like, apply to every one you want to. You probably won't get into all of them, but 100% of shots you don't take, you miss. So I would say apply to all of those, and then just you have to see what's right for you. Everybody is different.
Sure.
I think what could really play into that too is when you're looking for a college is also look at the organizations or opportunities in the area also. So I would consider Grand Valley for art because the art scene in Grand Rapids is phenomenal.
Yes.
It's coming to Mount Pleasant.
Yes.
But definitely just like see what other things you can be involved in while you're there.
I don't know that we've had a guest in our roundtable series that has done quite that kind of a move.
Hey, that was awesome.
It's exciting.
It was. I didn't say it was terrible. No, this is good. Okay.
Can I chime in on that really quickly?
Please, yes.
I do want to. Are we going to go to another question about college?
Not
specifically?
necessarily. Do you want to?
No, but I just want to. I want to say something about this because I think it's important to say. Because I'm a little like I'm a very thoughtful person. I think a lot. I overthink like everything.
Just land the plane, Taylor.
So, like when I am thinking at night, I wish I could go back and talk to myself in college because
Yes.
there's a lot of things in college I didn't know that I really wish someone would have told me.
Yes.
So I think there's a couple things, and we're being honest about college. So I'm going to say one thing here. I think it's very important to know that you can take a gap year after high school because I think that is like if I went back and I did that, I would have found my passion a lot better and been better equipped to go into college rather than just jumping into it kind of like blind.
Sure.
I think it's because college to me is a place that is very valuable if you know the path you want to go. And people sometimes think they know the path they want to go down. They don't always, right? And most people, they start on a path, they change. These two have said it. I started as I didn't declare a major in my freshman year. Then I did computer science, hated it. I tried pharmacy. Why do I want to be a pharmacist? I don't know anything about that, but it was just something that was like, I like science, so maybe. No, I didn't like it. Then marketing, I did actually like marketing, and I would have finished the degree in that if I hadn't got my job offer. But the point I'm trying to make is that those switches you do, where you're like starting with one major, going to another major, they're not the most productive, right? And so if I had taken a
Sure.
gap year and I had spent some time focusing on like what I might have wanted to do, and a big thing too is like what did I enjoy in my hobbies? I never thought about like how can I turn my hobbies into something I wanted to do until much later in my life.
Yeah.
So I think those are a few important things to remember as someone going into college is that like if you don't know what you want to do, it's very normal. You're a very normal person. Because all three of us feel that way. I'm sure many people in the room do. Probably a lot of your teachers were the same way as well. Like a lot of people didn't know what they wanted to do when they first went to college, and that's A-okay. You'll figure it out over time because being 18, it can feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders. But in reality, it's not. You just feel that way because you're like, oh, God, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Time's ticking. Like, all my friends are going to college. It's okay. Breathe
Yeah.
and try to figure out your path in your own time.
Excellent. Good. I will say, while we're on this note, there are 28 community colleges, and I'm a little biased, but I believe in it. I didn't start at a community college, but I believe in the role that the community colleges play in serving their communities. Some of them, like Northwestern up in Traverse City, in the art part of the world, they play a big role to it. But the community colleges are especially well built to serve students that are trying to figure it out, and not just cost. But I see it firsthand every day with colleagues that I have, like Annette, who just fielded that question. And thank you, Amber, for sending in that question. Onward, Gladwin. Flying G's. See it? That's a G. Okay. My wife, who's way smarter than I am and is super insightful and always helps me see the right perspective, wants me to ask this question, no matter who the guests are. Yeah, because it's like, don't sugarcoat it. What's the worst part about what you do? Don't sugarcoat it.
The unknowing. I was just talking earlier is, at least in my position, we can go from like super busy and mural requests and commission paintings and all the paint parties and I'm feeling on top of the world, and then, oh my God, I have to buy groceries next week.
Wow.
It's very unknowing. It's my business partner says we manifest the good things that we want in our life.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it's just keeping the faith.
Mm-hmm.
The hard part is the unknowing, for sure.
Sure.
I'll let Danny go first. I need to ponder a bit more.
Okay. Maybe it's all good.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's, yeah, I would agree with that, the unknowing. Yeah, it's especially like in a nonprofit world, it would be some weeks that we have, 10 volunteers who all want to come in on the same day. Then other ones when we were running from the office to the front store and, and the phones are going off the hook and, the classes are not up and, everything is going. So I would say like the unknowing is I know that wasn't really original, but
No.
you put it really good though. It really is. Like that.
I
Yeah.
expected there might be some commonality that way.
I work in a startup, so I would agree with the unknowing, but I'm not going to give that answer.
It's
But I do agree with that though, for sure. Yeah. No, I'd say the worst part about my job is definitely like the time. I want to think about a way to word it, but I really do have to work a lot, and it's not that I have to, right? But in my own way,
Sure.
in what I want to accomplish in my day-to-day life at my job, I do have to put in a lot of time to do that, because I'm always improving. Like, for example, one thing I didn't know how to do as a producer was edit. I never edited on my own. I knew how to instruct editors and tell them what I wanted to see, because I can recognize like a good piece of film, right, or a good piece of a good reel, a good marketing trailer, whatever it is. But I can't actually go in and make that, right? So
Sure.
I can tell them color correct this way, cut this way, use the music this way, use a fade this way. I don't know how to actually go and do it. So I spent a lot of time recently, like this month and a little bit last month, learning Premiere, and that's been like, so I have my job during the day, but then my job's going to want me to do some editing because of where we are right now. And so at night I have to learn how to edit, because during the day I'm working, and then I have to go learn how to do this thing for my job. And again, like, would they let me take a day off to do that? Yes, but I don't want to take that step back and like seem like I can I take this time to develop? Like, I want to be able to do both. And I think a lot of that comes from like the pressure I put on myself. And again, like I said it earlier, but it's really true. I'm addicted to what I do. Like, I love my job.
I figured you'd go there.
Truthfully, I do love my job. I wake up every single morning with a smile on my face. I work in video games. I work from home in a very like relaxed environment. My boss is awesome. My team is all like very friendly, and we always push each other to be better. And I couldn't be happier with like my job. But the time, it does take a lot of time to do that still.
Sure.
Even though I love it, I love every minute of it. It still is a lot of
I
time.
was going to say, I don't presume it ever feels burdensome to have to do that at night,
No.
or on your free time.
It's just that it's like it cuts into your personal hobbies. So like, for example,
Sure.
I bought a camera a few months ago. I haven't got to go take pictures at all, right? And like, there's games I want to play that come out. I don't really have a lot of time to play a bunch of video games. So there's just stuff that like I can't do because I'd rather spend that time doing my job. And again, it's not a negative, but it is like, there is some points about the addiction to that job that can have adverse effects, if you will.
Yeah. Do you ever find your creativity challenged by working from home? And conversely, is there a spot you say like, or something you do, and I want to know you two as well, but something you do that like, I know this is a little shot of adrenaline for my creativity when I
mean, I don't think that comes from like working at home per se, because me and my team, we simulate how it is to work together, and obviously we're not in a room together. Like, I can't grab their arm.
Yeah.
But the room is
interesting world that way.
Yeah. Because we have like Google Meets. We're IMing all day. We're messaging back and forth on Slack.
Yeah. It's not like you're sitting alone in a room.
No. And most of the projects I'm on will have a creative brief. Like, we'll sit in a call, and we call them war rooms. Is how we call them.
Sure.
And the war room idea is that everybody who is a stakeholder on the project is going to get in a room together, and we're all going to just spit ideas out onto a board, and we're going to like see what sticks on the board, what everyone likes.
Cool.
So that's like a way. I think that my team, even though I work from home, I'm not in. I think what you might be thinking is that like almost like a silo, if you will. Like you're in your own little tube, right? And you're just like at home, and you're just like doing your thing.
Yep.
But our company does a really good job of like making sure we're collaborative, because I think really in creativity, collaboration is like key in a lot of things. Not every endeavor, and I can't say for painting or any sort of like other music.
Sure.
Or not other music. You know what I meant.
We know.
But I think for my job, like the collaborative efforts really do help with the creativity. Like, I never feel shot for creative inspiration.
Okay. I want to get back to that, but I want to hear from the two of you first.
I worked on my dining room table for 5 years as an artist.
Wow. That's awesome.
So I think a lot of people think going into the art world, you have to have the fancy tools and the right space, and you know, it's could
Your
be an
own
expensive
studio
hobby.
and-
Yeah,
sure.
but you can work on your dining room table. My family ate on a children's table in the living room for 5 years because I claimed the dining room. So it's a lot of
Wow.
use what you got, make the very best of it.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I can't remember the exact question that it was, but that was my point, is
Well,
you kind of just have to use the space that you have and
Okay.
move forward
The other
with it.
part of the question related to, is there anything in particular you do, like this is my espresso when I really want to try and be creative? Is there anything particularly that you do?
I think my job is a constant challenge because people see that you can be creative and make things, and they want, like,
Yeah.
I make paint by numbers, and I like to do like fun sort of kids themed paint by numbers, and
Sure.
someone asked for like a memorial of their cat that just died in a paint by number, and I was like, okay, I can do that. And a few years
Sure.
ago I made Halloween costumes for teachers. Like it's a constant
Awesome.
challenge, and like
Yeah.
testing myself and what else can I do and how can I keep these people as a customer of some kind, even if it means completely stepping out of my box. I sewed sequins on a fish costume for 2 months.
I bet it looked great when it was done, though.
It was beautiful.
Cool. Anything you want to add?
I would just say, like, I usually lose my creative spark if I'm working at something for too long and I have to like take breaks. So like on piano, for example, I can be working for a piece for like 6 to 8 months before it's ready. And then, but
Wow.
like in between there, it's like I have to do other things because I start to
Yes.
get frustrated and, go back to it. Also produce video and music and write. And a lot of times, especially writing, you get those blocks and I just have to get away, like literally just leave it alone and forget and then come back to it. So that's kind of how I get over those like blocks. Is like,
You certainly find times when your creativity is waning.
oh yeah. So I go do something else creative in a
100%.
different way.
Yeah.
Yeah, to take my mind off of it.
Sure.
I think it's very important that Danny just said. Sometimes you do just need to step away, and I have that. Not everyone has that luxury in their creative endeavor, but like I do.
Sure.
For example, if I feel like I'll have a brief today, right? I have one later today. If I
A creative brief.
yeah, we're doing a
Okay.
project.
I wore my creative briefs today. They're colorful. Never mind. Sorry.
It was a good
I
joke.
said that
It
on
was- it
camera. Ah,
You probably got at least a few chuckles out there.
perhaps.
And in here. No, so we have a brief today, but for example, it's at 3 p.m. and come like 1 or 2 p.m. There's days like this for sure where I don't feel, there's just not that, I don't have that, there's something in me that just is missing and I can't like bring that to tangible words.
Sure.
But I'll just tell them, I'm like, we're going to move the brief till tomorrow because I'm going to bring nothing to the conversation and I don't want to waste your time because you might have your great ideas today. If you have your spark, write down your ideas so you don't forget them tomorrow.
Yeah.
I don't have mine today. So let's move the brief back, be more productive.
Yeah.
But I think Danny said it best. You do sometimes you just need to like step away. And especially I work on copy sometimes, which is like for putting it in words, just like a section of writing that might describe a product or a video or whatever it is. And there's a lot of times in writing specifically where you'll just get blocked. Like
Sure.
And I notice my blocks now because of how long I've been doing it. But like one thing I'll start to do when I'm blocked is repeating things I've done in the past that work. And then
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, no, I've used the same word like 9 times in this. I'm just going to move away because I'm clearly not in my element right now.
Yeah.
And it's
I'm going to move
important-
away. I'll start over later. Or?
Yeah, and there's just times where like again, my job is unique in this way, but a lot of my work I can do at various times. So if I am feeling that way, I might just choose to take my little like chunk of like a 3-4 hour break in the middle of the day and then
Yeah.
work at night because I know
Yes.
I'll be more productive after I go do anything. Like sometimes I'll
Sure.
go upstairs and just like pluck the guitar, or I'll just like go
Cool.
for a walk, or I'll just. By the way, I said I pluck guitar. I'm horrible at guitar. I play the top string and I make some cool notes, and that's about it.
Okay.
I need to say that
All
so
right.
it's out there.
Cool.
creative
So,
break.
we've got, and I don't know if you want to add to this anymore, but we've got a brilliant marketing team here at Mid. They're overworked, but they continually produce really neat stuff. And I've joked with our marketing director about the impression that many have is, here's what I need the marketing team to work on. Can't you just simply sprinkle your marketing dust on it and make it, everyone aware and it's brilliantly crafted? And do you face that too? Do you find that
yeah.
like
All the time.
all the time?
Oh yeah, I don't want to take the whole limelight here, but I'll keep it brief. My team will get. We do like a lot of trailers for the company. Like there's I'm not in the product part of the company, but I'm in the content part of the company. So when product makes a new feature, sometimes they want us to make a video, and their way of doing it is they'll hand us, hey, this is what we changed. make this into a video. And it's like, okay, but we don't know like what does this feature do? Give us some more details. There's a lot of times they expect you just to like make it come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
That's just
Yeah.
awful.
Okay. Anybody want to add anything? Believe it or not, we're coming up on nearly the end here. And thank you
Going
for
quick.
staying with us. Annette, please.
Teresa from Gladwin asked, do you feel social media is helpful or detrimental to the art?
The question asked, thank you, Teresa. Again, Onward Gladwin. The question asked, do you feel social media is harmful or beneficial to the arts? Right? Okay.
I think it's necessary to have social media. And like for the record, I hate social media. I have not logged into Facebook in probably 2 years right now. But as artists, you have to be an entrepreneur as well. Even if you just want to like share your work, even if you just want to get it out there. And in today's world, that medium is social media for the most part to get that out there. I think it can be detrimental, like in some instances, but not necessarily on the artistic end of it. If that makes sense, I can't really think of like specific detrimental things that you would face using social media as an artist, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it's another one of those challenges is just meeting the want and need of our potential customers. I have a lot of fun with it because my business offers so many different things. So one day we got a big box of kids' tutus, and so I just ran around the store all day wearing the tutu and recorded myself. And it's just something new and fun and shares kind of the vibe that you might share and passion that you have in your
Sure.
career. Some people don't use social media at all, and my challenge was
Sure.
to design a website, and that is, again, way outside of my box, but it's meeting the challenge is like, it
Yeah.
might not be for you, but if people are finding you in that way, you have to make it good.
Yeah.
There's a TikTok sound that says, I'm a content creator, so I have to create content, so here's my content. And it's like this very monotone, like, I
love
have
that
to do
one.
this, so here you are.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it's funny you mentioned the tutus because I have for each of the three of you Mid-Michigan College tutus back
fun.
here.
Yay!
I'm kidding. I made that up.
I'm probably a little biased in this because my company utilizes social media a lot, but I would say
Sure.
it's only beneficial in my opinion for what I do specifically. So I'm not going to bring it because I think there's a level to where if you're doing art, there could be some world where it's like it can be annoying to like take pictures of your art or like people maybe try to take credit of your art, whatever it is. There could
Yes.
be problems with that.
Yeah.
But for my company, for example, we actually use YouTube a lot, Twitter a lot to like push people to our products. So for my company, social media has been beneficial. It's been something that if anyone out there wants to know, I've had to actually learn a ton about it in a different capacity for work. Like they wanted me to start learning how can we use social media to push our products. And in a way that I'm not learning it like, I don't want to say it. I use this word a lot in work. I'm just going to say it. I don't want to learn it in the corporate way. I want to learn it in a consumer way. So like
Yes.
when we use it for our corporate needs, we're doing it in a way that pleases the consumer. And I think there's a whole conversation about social media. But I think if you use social media the right way, it can only be helpful.
Sure.
I want to play off of that really quickly also
Please.
is there is definitely a detrimental way to use it for your business. It's I see when I'm on social media or scrolling through TikTok at 11 o'clock at night, I want to see positive things and inspiring things and like things that are in my For You page or whatever is new things that I can try and inspiring each other in the art world. And so if I see someone make a video like I only had this many followers or I didn't sell any artwork on this, I'm like, I don't feel bad for you. I'm going to keep scrolling. I want to see something that's going to continue to motivate. So it's definitely, it can be how you use it for sure. It's,
Sure.
I think you want to represent your business on social media in the very best way.
Yeah. Yeah. This is good because especially considering it segues into what I want to ask next. And again, we're getting down to the end here. This is purely my observation, but it seems to me that artists, artistic people, actors, actresses, it seems to me they're a very tolerant group. They're a very accepting group. I think that's very neat. I had siblings that were involved with theater, and I just was intrigued by the fact that their friends all of them were friends. They were all accepting of each other, and I still see it to this day, that kind of thing. But this is mildly related because it's one thing to be tolerant and accepting, but here's where I'm going to go, and I don't mean this in an incendiary way. All right? Kenny's like, uh-oh. He's throwing a hard ball now. Steve Jobs once said, if you want to make everybody happy, don't be a leader. Go sell ice cream. Will the world ever really listen to artists? Can artists be leaders?
They already have, I feel like, in a lot of
How
ways.
so?
If you look at any major social or political movement in history, art has always been associated in some way, shape, or form. If you look to I'm just trying to think of like some things. I don't know, like Martin Luther with his 95 Theses to the Catholic Church or whatever, that completely changed the world of music. Today we use, different courts now because of what he demonstrated was oppressive on artistic nature or whatever. In like a lot of ways, even today, most protests start out with some form of art or music or something. And even if it's not like a direct protest, it's still really like kind of mixed in there. So like when you look at a lot of artists, that's why I feel like to be an artist in its entirety, you almost have to understand a whole lot of different components. That's why people are more accepting, I feel like, in the artistic world, is because your whole mindset is how can I be different? So it's like everybody's kind of thinking that because everybody was the same. It wouldn't, So I think that a lot of artists today are, already leading those movements as far as music, as far as the visual arts. If you look to, what's his name? Campbell's Soup.
Campbell Soup.
Oh.
Not Kendrick Lamar.
No, but Kendrick Lamar though,
I know.
he's a perfect example. Like his music is one of those things that led to a lot of social change and brings awareness and everything.
Nobel
So,
Prize winner.
Yeah, and Pulitzer, and a lot of I think the first rap album to ever win that too. And if you look to like a lot of artistic movements, and not even talking like protests and like social unrest, but as far as leadership in the artistic world, most ideologies, most groups have some type of art component with them, whether it's some group with just a logo, that's art, or whether it's a whole movement with a phrase or, like whatever it may be,
Yes.
clothing, fashion, whatever it is, it's
Yes.
art. The design of these chairs are art,
Yes.
like somebody spent time to graphically, like
Yes.
shape these, cut these down and everything. So I think
Yes.
that like they already are leaders. Art is all around us in a lot of different ways, and it leads our life in a lot of ways that we don't think of. Everything has to be designed,
Yes.
like in made.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Kenny, our CAD instructor here, super cool guy. He'd be crying right now to hear you referencing that because that's his refrain often. I threw what I thought would be a little bit of a curveball, and you just knocked it out of the park.
You did.
That was
That
like
was-
a 500-footer. What else do you want to add to that? Bear in mind, we're coming down
I'm
to the
gonna
end here.
leave it there because I think that's a very valuable take.
Yeah.
I think one thing I will add is like I think artists in general, not every form of art, but most art is like ahead of its time. A lot of things like you can look back to a lot of things that are timeless in a way. And I think
Yeah.
another thing about the visual arts in general is that they end up being symbolic in a lot of ways. Like many pieces of art are what people remember from certain, whether they're tragic or good things that have happened in the past. A lot of things you remember are these like symbols, which are like images or things like that. I think there's
Yeah.
a lot of examples where like art is ahead of its time and like leading the pack, if you will.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of artists inspire that change too, but I don't want to go too much into it. I think you said it well, so leave it there.
I guess I'm thinking smaller scale as an artist, like in a leadership role. Is I think Danny's lead in the art collaborative through Artreach is great. I feel like everybody's interest kind of has their bubble. There might be artists, there might be musicians, and everybody has their bubble, and we look to each other as a resource. And I see myself as a leader in like the business side of art. So I want to be a resource. Here's markets coming up. Here's a better range to price your things, or here's how to present your project to the right people. And I want to make those connections. So, and to toot my own horn, I like consider myself a leader in that role because I feel like I have enough experience to continue learning from other artists in my bubble and outside of it, but also to help other maybe beginning artists to learn and play off of that.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. That was really good. Thank you. Quick questions, absolutely.
One is from Amber from Gladwin again. Where do you find these jobs? And the other one is for Jacob. or from Jacob, you mentioned being addicted to your craft. How do you maintain balance with that mindset?
Yeah, I mean, I can take that one right away. So the question, to reiterate, was,
Thank you.
yeah, how do you find balance when you're addicted to your craft, like I was mentioning earlier? And I mentioned,
It's a great question.
yeah, it is a phenomenal question. I think that is the hardest part, not only to your job and like being addicted in the way I am, but I think to everything in life, right? Finding that balance between how much time can I sleep, how much time can I work, how much time can I dedicate to my friends, my family, my crafts, my hobbies, etc. Like there's
Yes.
so many things in life that you can do.
Yes.
But we're all human. We can only do so much. You have to, and I think the key to a happy life, and the times I find myself being the most happy, is like when I do find that balance. To be honest, it comes from being stern. You just have to be hard on yourself a little bit. Like, I shouldn't keep doing this today for work, or I shouldn't do this. I should go do this other thing that's like beneficial for me in this other way. It comes down to discipline a lot, where you have to be like hard on yourself. You have to be like, okay, today I'm not going to take this extra time to go above and beyond at work. Sometimes being adequate is okay, right? And I think I struggle a lot with that for various reasons. Like I used to be in sports and a lot of like other endeavors where I always wanted to be the best. So I've always struggled with like self-improvement and trying to be the best version of myself.
Sure.
But it's just important in order to find balance to like cut back and just realize like you are human. You need to make time for other things like your loved ones, your friends, your hobbies. Literally, there's some times in a day I'll just take time to do nothing. Where it's like this is something my mentor told me.
Yeah.
I have a mentor who he works at Warner Brothers. Yada yada yada. He told me.
Well, that's valuable too.
Yeah, well, he told me one thing he really advised was taking like 10 minutes in your day to actually do nothing. Like you
really hard to
sit in your chair and you just do nothing. You just sit there and you're just hanging out like this,
Sure.
just doing nothing. And I've actually found, I don't do this often because again, I struggle a lot with like go.
Yeah.
But when I do it, I do feel like very relaxed. It helps me reset. It helps me like sit there and like take perspective. And again, you're not doing nothing. You're thinking in that time
Right.
most of the time.
Right.
But it is a very productive thing. But to go back and like finish my answer on the question, balance is the hardest thing in life, not only in work and what you do, but finding balance is just, I don't have the answer to it. I only have the remedies I've tried to strike that balance.
Sure.
And I'm not perfect at balance. Everyone in my life would tell you that. So
Yeah. Thank you.
of course.
There
Yeah.
was, oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
There was a question, where do you find
Yes,
these
thank you.
jobs? Yes. And I love that question. Thank you for that. I made my job myself because I knew what I wanted to do and I found the need and I asked for a building and they gave it to me.
There's a lot of power in asking.
There is a
A
lot
lot
of
of power.
power. And the balance thing was difficult because I wanted it to be successful, so I put everything that I had into it, and I'm still doing that. But I made my own job because nobody else had it.
Yeah.
Nobody else
Yeah.
had the opportunity to take that job.
That's
so
powerful. That's
sometimes
cool.
You just gotta do it.
Amber, just for the record, my oldest son I referenced is a proud graduate of Gladwin High. I don't know if you know him or not, but he too made his own job. This is what I want. He created
Do
his
it.
own job. Okay, we're getting down to the end here. This has been brilliant. For me, this has been the equivalent of a wonderful roller coaster ride of a conversation, but in a good way. Thank you, Annette. Thank you, Miranda, for being part of this too. Noah, as always, my super remarkable video guru on the other end of the camera. Last chance, final thoughts, make them brief, and we're going to close this out.
I will say be persistent and always be the best version of you that you can be.
Cool.
Take risks. It's worth it.
Love what you do. Just be happy. I think that it's very important in life to just like whatever you do. Like I love my job and it really is fulfilling for me. And I've seen a lot of people in my family who work, I don't want to say dead end jobs, but they're jobs that aren't fulfilling in
Yeah.
that way. And they don't feel fulfilled. Every day they wake up at 8 a.m. They
Yeah.
regret it, right? Because back when they were 18 or 19, they didn't take the time to like figure out what they wanted to do. And now they're 50 or 60 and they're just working the same job and they feel stuck because like it's like, well, all my experience is in this and like, well, it's kind of hard to move now. Like if I want to try to get in the creative arts now, it's a little late because I'm 40 or 50 or 60 and I have to like do this stuff.
Yeah.
So I think it's just important to find what you love truly in life. Like it's a lot easier to function when you love what you do and you not only what you do, but like you just like love yourself. That's another thing I'm a big
Absolutely.
proponent
Sure.
of love yourself.
Yep.
Be who you are.
Yep. And it's the top of Maslow's hierarchy, self-actualization.
100%.
Okay, just a couple quick things. Thank you much for joining us. Just so you're aware, this is part of a series that Mid-Michigan College is very proud to host, and we are proud of our community's college. So we're happy to serve and continue to do so. Next month, we will host another roundtable. It may not be as scintillating as this, but it will be involving the education realm. So pass the word. And finally, I'll leave you with this. It a little bit breaks my heart. I'm not a New England Patriots fan, but I am an admirer of Tom Brady. He announced he's retiring. I've often found a parallel. I'm not the GOAT or anything like that, but when people say to me, you do what you do, you continue to try to do it. Why? Why do you continue to do it? And I'm hopeful that I try and do so at a decent level. But I tell people I do so because I can. And Tom Brady continued to play at such a high level because he could. So I leave you with this. You have talents that many others don't have. So why should you consider pursuing this path involving the arts? Because you can. Thank you for joining us. Thank you three. You rock. This has been so enjoyable. Adios.